Today's lesson is 3.4, round decimals. Our essential question today, how can you use place value to round decimals to a given place? Unlocking the problem. The gold frog of South America is one of the smallest frogs in the world. It is 386 thousandths of an inch long. What is the length rounded to the nearest hundredth of an inch? Underline the length of the golden frog. Well, there's the length of the golden frog. I'm going to underline it. Then it asks, is the frog length about the same length as a length or width of a large paper clip? Well, large paper clip is about an inch. So it's not going to be the length, but a width is about 386 thousandths. So I'm going to write width here because it is closely related to the width, not the length. So let's look at the one way. One way, use a place value chart. Write the number in a place value chart and circle the digit in the place value to the one that you want to round. So if you look here, they've written the number in a place value chart. We have our ones, our tenths, our hundredths, our thousandths. We have our decimal here, right? So in the place value chart, underline the digit to the right in which you're trying to round. Well, back in the problem, so if I'm looking back in the problem, I want to round to the nearest hundredth. So if I'm going to round to the nearest hundredth, I'm going to have to circle the hundredths place. There's the hundredths place, okay? So now if I'm looking to the digit to the right, that's going to be the thousandths place, and I need to find out if it's got enough power to change the hundredths place. So if the digit to the right is less than 5, the digit in the place value to which you are rounding stays the same. If the digit to the right is greater than 5 or greater, the digit that you are rounding is increased by 1. So if I'm looking, this is a 6 and it is greater than 5. Therefore, this 8 is going to be increased by 1. Then we're going to drop the digits after which you replace the rounding. So that means I'm going to keep my 0 ones, keep my 3 tenths, but instead of 8 hundredths, I'm now going to have 9 hundredths, and I no longer need to have any afterwards. I mean, you could put zeros there and it wouldn't change the answer. So the nearest hundredth of an inch a gold frog is about, and you're going to say 39 hundredths of an inch long. Okay, another way. Let's use place value. The little grass frog is the smallest frog in North America. It is 437th inch of a long. What is the length of the frog to the nearest hundredth of an inch? So again, I'm looking at my hundredths position. In this case, it's 3, okay? So my hundredths position is 3. So I have to look to the right at the 7. The 7 is greater than 5, so the 3 will become a 4. So I will have 44 hundredths, okay? The nearest hundredth of an inch of the frog is about 44 hundredths of an inch long. So let's look at B. What is the length of a frog to the nearest tenth of an inch? So now I'm looking at the tenths place, and that's this 4. So if I'm looking at the tenths place, and that's what I'm rounding to, I'm going to look next to it at the 3. The 3 is less than 5, so it does not have enough power to change it. So my answer is going to be 4 tenths of an inch long. Example. The Goliath frog is the largest frog in the world. It is found in the country of Cameroon in West Africa. The Goliath frog can grow to be 11 and 815 thousandths of an inch long. How long is the Goliath frog to the nearest inch? Well, first we're going to have to write it in the place value chart. Let's write it. In the tens position, I have a 1. In the ones position, I have a 1. In the tenths, I have an 8. In the hundredths, I have a 1. And in the thousandths, I have a 5. Step 2. Find the place to which you want to round and circle that digit. Well, I want to round the frog to the nearest inch. Well, the nearest inch is going to be to the ones position here. So I'm going to circle my ones position, and then I'm looking to my tenths to see if it has enough. Is 8 bigger than 5? Well, it is, which means I'm going to increase my my one position by 1. So I'm going to have 12 inches long, and I'm going to drop the rest of it.
Explain.
Why any number less than 12.5 or 12 5/10 and greater than or equal to 11 5/10 would round to 12 when rounded to the nearest whole number? The answer is, with any digit less than 5 in the tens place, the digit in the ones place remains unchanged. Should say unchanged, not unchanges. Sorry about that, guys. With any digit greater than or equal to 5 in the tens place, the digit in the ones place is increased by 1. Try this. Round 14 and 603 thousandths to the nearest hundredth. So first we're going to have to put it in. We have a 1 in the tens place, a 4 in the ones place, a 6 in the tenth. We have nothing in the hundredths and 3 in the thousandths. If we're rounding to the nearest hundredth, I'm going to look at my hundredths, so I'm going to circle that number. Now I'm looking next to it to see if the 3 has enough power. The 3 is not greater than 5. Therefore, I'm going to round it to 14 and 6 hundredths. All right, so now it wants us to round to the nearest whole number. So I have 1, 4, 6, 0, 3, and now I'm rounding to the nearest whole number. Well, here's my whole number. So in order to do the whole number, I'm going to look at the tenths position. Is the tenths position 5 or bigger? If it is 5 or bigger, then I'm just going to change it by 1. And the 6 is bigger than 5, therefore I'm going to make this, instead of being 14, it's going to be 15. Share and show. Write the place value of the underlined digit. Round each number to that place value of the underlined digit. So let's look at the underlined digit. The 7 is in the hundredths place. So as I'm looking, I have the 7 in the hundredths position and I have the 3. Does the 3 have enough power to change the 7 to an 8? It does not, because it's less than 5. So my answer is going to be 67 hundredths. Okay, and the next one I have 4 and 282 hundredths. I'm looking at the tenths position here because that's what the 2 is in, and that's the underlined number. So the number next to it in the hundredths position is an 8, and the 8 is greater than 5, so that means the answer is going to be 4.3 tenths. On the next problem, I have 12 and 917 thousandths. The number that's underlined is the 2, and it's in the ones position. Okay, so as I'm looking, that means if I'm looking in the ones position, I'm looking in the tenths to see if it has enough power, and it is a 9. 9 does have enough power because it's greater than 5, so that means instead of 13 ones, or instead of 12 ones, I'm going to have 13 ones. Okay, so name the place value to which each number was rounded. So if I'm looking here, it looks like it's rounded to the hundredths position, right? Because the 8th is in the hundredths position. So I'm going to put hundredths, hundredths position. On the next one, I have, it's rounded to the whole number, the ones position, right? Because that's what this is. So I'm taking this number and I'm rounding it to the ones position. And then on the last one, I have 7.5 or 7 and 5/10. So I'm rounding to the tenths position because the 5 is in the tenths position. All right, please do the on your own. I will be on the carpet if you need any assistance, or you can work with a buddy.